Driven, RE/MAX Hallmark's real estate show, with your hosts, Johnder, Perez, and Dan Salhany.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Driven Real Estate Show by RE/MAX Hallmark. I am your host, Johnder Perez, and with me is...
Dan Salhany. Welcome everybody. Thank you for being here.
Welcome everybody. And today we have a fantastic guest. He's been working in the Ottawa real estate market since 1985. Today, including himself, a team of 16 called the Tulip Team with RE/MAX Hallmark. And he's going to be sharing something with us today that's very special. It's going to be sharing his journey from starting in real estate in 1985 to building a diamond producing team. And our special guest today is Bill Meyer. So welcome, Bill Meyer.
Thank you.
Bill, let's get started right into it. What is your secret to success?
The secret to success. Well, that's a great question. You know, I'm not sure that there's a secret. I think there's many secrets, or there's many very obvious things that are that lead you to success. For me, I've always been, kind of in a leadership role, right from captains of baseball teams when I was a kid, to student council when I was in high school, to I was fortunate enough to be an Olympic athlete. I played water polo for the men's national team in 1984, which was involved in captain's role throughout the 8 years that I was with the national team, and in various management jobs. So I would say that what's led me to my success really is understanding. Well, it was really something Zig Ziglar has said that many people are familiar with, that, when you first hear it, you think, oh, it sounds all Pollyannish and stuff, that, that if you help enough people achieve what they want to achieve and their goals and objectives, you're going to get what you want out of life. And I really do believe that, that is, again, not necessarily a secret, but it certainly is one of the laws of the universe. That, again, you help enough people get what they want, you're going to get what you want.
Absolutely. And so your journey started in 1985, Bill. So take us back to, how did you get started in real estate? And in 1985, I mean, until now, you've evolved so much in terms of your different roles in companies, corporations, real estate. So take us back to 1985 and then show us how you got here.
Well, I guess... Let me step back to about 1984. 1984, as I mentioned, I was fortunate enough to go to the Olympics, and the reason I think that's important in my journey is, as a young man for 10 years, I was basically training on a daily basis with a team, with a group of people, okay, with a common goal, okay, and from that you take certain disciplines, dedication, and desire to, as I say, to have a lofty goal like that of going to the Olympics, and to wake up every morning, and before you go to bed every evening, to show up at the pool and to go through the same routine over and over and over again. I think, learning that skill set of discipline, I've really brought that into my business world. So that kind of takes us to 1985. 85, I got a real estate license. Okay, so I worked with Canada Trust when Canada Trust had a real estate arm, sold for them for about 5 years. And then was fortunate enough to be offered a position to manage an office for Canada Trust. That was interesting, being the youngest person in the office, managing an office of about 34, older real estate agents, but it was fun. I enjoyed it. Learned one of my first, let's call it Bill's philosophies of life, if you want to go that deep, is that my job as a manager is really to create an environment where people enjoy coming to work. And because they enjoy coming to work, and again, it's not that it's all fun, but they have to go somewhere to go to work. So because they enjoy coming to work, it kind of spills off into the quality of customer service that they deliver, to their clients. So 85, sold for 5 years, from 85 to 88, to manage the real estate office for Canada Trust. And at that time, created a bit of a relationship with the banking side. Back then, banks and real estate companies didn't cooperate quite to the degree that they cooperate now. Now lenders are all over us for our business. Back then, we were considered used car salesmen. They were considered bean counters. There wasn't a lot of relationship there. I was able to build some bridges there and develop a little referral program. in taking referral business to the banks for mortgages and creating a reciprocal agreement that they would send a certain number of customers to us that had real estate needs. That translated into being kind of a successful little program that Canada Trust actually rolled that out across the country. In doing so, it kind of got my, let's call it my name in front of a few of the senior VPs in banking. And one day I had an opportunity to move over to the banking side. So I left real estate in about, after 3 years of managing an office, and became a manager of marketing, regional manager of marketing for Eastern Canada and Northern Ontario for Canada Trust Financial. Enjoyed that job. It was fun, and one day my boss looked at me about 3 years later and said, well, you're doing well in this company. If you want to grow within the financial industry, you should do a stint in a branch. So Monday morning, I was a bank manager. I never worked in a bank, but again, I had managed some people and realized that, again, the same secrets to success, just create a good environment for my employees. It translated into happy clients. It got me a little bit of recognition of having a well-run bank. After my little stint there was over, which didn't really end the way I thought it would, because it was just supposed to be 6 to 12 to 18 months of me taking a bit of my sales skills to the to the banking world. Of a job offer after that was Toronto, and I had no desire to leave Ottawa, so I was a bank manager for 5 years. One day I had a call from, and that was a good gig. I had a call from a fellow named Jeff Hooper, who was opening a new company in Canada, or in Ottawa, Keller Williams. It was the first Keller Williams in Canada. Asked me if I wanted to go into business with him and manage the office. So the first few years of managing Keller Williams, my job primarily was recruiting agents. As we know, when you're starting a brokerage, that's kind of the number one task. Did that for a couple of years, and for those of you who do know Keller Williams, it was very much a training and consulting company for real estate agents. So my role after kind of the recruiting was replaced by somebody who had better skills than me at that. I focused on the training side of things. Did that for a number of years, coaching new agents as well as experienced agents, even some agents that had teams. Realized that there was some value in this team thing. Okay, teams were rather new again back in early 2001, 2, 3. They were still somewhat new, but saw that as being kind of a route to go, if you will. And after a few years of training, decided to join an agent who had been running a team. I want to say almost a typical team of its day, where you hire 4 or 5 this year and they all leave, and then next year you're hiring 3 or 4 more different people, and it was kind of a revolving door that unfortunately a lot of teams fall victim to. I was able to add some stability to her environment. We had an admin person. Then after a year or two, brought on a buyer's agent, and then brought on a marketing guy to take care of some of our tech needs and our internet lead generation needs, and then brought on a listing specialist and another buyer agent. So kind of grew the team, I want to say slowly. I do believe, again, another kind of life philosophy is, if you want to go fast, you go alone. But if you want to go far, you go with others. So I have, as I say, been building this team for 10, 11 years now, and we're growing slowly, and that's kind of where we're at right now. I have, as you mentioned, 16 people on the team. 4 of them are support staff in various roles, and 10 are actually out there selling on a day-to-day basis, and then myself managing. So that kind of takes us to where we're at today. We're our objective right now this year is to sell about 220 transactions. So I have some agents that have been with me for a while. Keith, he'll do about 60 to 65 transactions. I've got 1 or 2 newer agents and with me a year or less that they'll do their 6 to 10 transactions, but that averages out to about 22, 23 transactions per agent.
So you said something very interesting, and I just want to rewind to
your role when you joined the team. So I think for the people that are listening in today, and for those that are going to tune in afterwards, Bill, I think the biggest the biggest asset or the biggest takeaway that they can get from this is going to be a discussion about the challenges that you had, and then the disciplines that you also put into place. And I like the part that you mentioned originally when you said the traditional team environment already existed that you had joined, but one thing that you brought to the process and to the environment was the stability part of it.
Right.
And I think that was sort of, for me, knowing your business, knowing surface level of your business and kind of how it grew, I think that stability part was probably the biggest asset to get you going and to where you are now, because it still exists.
Yeah, I think understanding why people join teams. Why does an agent join a team? And typically it's it's for lead, training, and support. Okay, so as I mentioned, one of my early hires in the process, if you're looking at the same screen I'm looking at, is up in that top right corner, Dave Williams. Okay, so Dave joined me going on 10 years now, and originally brought him in to do, to take care of search engine optimization and online lead generation, which I had kept hearing was the key to some growth. And I didn't want to have to learn anything about search engine optimization and online lead generation. But I did know that if I wanted to grow, that having leads is very important. So that was an important role that, now Dave, kind of oversees that happening. But, we're generating, 100 online leads. We generate other leads, through our farm or through signs and things, but about 100 online leads a week, so that's something that, as I say, I understand that when people join teams, is something that's important to them. It's the support and the training that's also very important, that I think, kind of is a downfall of many team leads, because many team leads are out there selling real estate. Well, I'm not out there selling real estate the way I was maybe in the early years of having a team. I'm really a team manager, or, right now, where I look at my goal and my focus. Yes, creating that environment, but really understanding the needs of my agents, helping them put a plan together, understanding, where they want to take, what achievements they want to accomplish, helping them to put a plan together to accomplish that, and then asking them for their permission to allow me to hold them accountable to their own objectives. Okay, so the support that they get, the mentoring they get, I think is probably the most important, or the strongest factor that keeps people with me, if you will. As I say, so I don't have the revolving door, because they know that it takes time to, I want to say, to gain this trust, but they trust that I take that that responsibility seriously, that is my role on the team, is to help them achieve their objectives.
So what are the important factors, Bill? And we talked about this yesterday when we had our pre-interview was the decision, I believe, that you had to make to take a step back in your own personal business, right? To coordinate all this and to put the pieces of the puzzle and to create, or take the time to create the vision of what was this going to look like, or what were you hoping that it was going to look like? Because I know that it's evolved over time. So how did you get into that mindset? For the people that are sitting here that are either contemplating, because many of us do, hey, I'm thinking about building a team, blah, 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 blah. What are those sacrifices that had to be put into place to get it to where it's at?
Sacrifice seems to be a strong word. I think it's more of just a realization, and then a little bit of planning, and then doing it. I don't know if it's there were really sacrifices there. It was almost exact opposite to sacrifice. Realizing that I do this, I'll be privileged enough, not to be out there selling. Okay, I mean, a lot of people love to sell. They love to be out there. I mean, it's I like the kind of discipline of a 9 to 5. And yes, I get calls and emails and texts, throughout the evenings and weekends. But I'm not out there working with buyers and sellers on a daily basis anymore. It's the field agents that are out there. I think the key there, Danny, has been, kind of the disciplines that, again, another understanding is that, people get into this business for the freedom, the flexibility, the untold wealth. Okay, and they come here and they get the freedom and the flexibility they want, but they don't get the untold wealth because they don't understand something very simple, and that is that discipline leads to freedom. It's not just flexibility that leads to freedom, it's the discipline. So I've built some disciplines into the team that, again, are not secrets. Everybody tells you should be doing these things. I mean, I expect everybody on my team to be at work at 9 o'clock in the morning. Okay, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, my team's in at 9 o'clock in the morning. Okay, now on Monday mornings, it's just kind of cleaning up things from the weekend, planning their week going ahead, and then we have a team meeting from 11 to 12. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we're downstairs script training. We're practicing our scripts. I mean, sales is all about language and conveying an intelligent, understood message to the person you're speaking with. So we're practicing that skill set. And then from 10 to 12, we're all on the phones. Okay, now prospecting can be done, or lead generation can be done in all kinds of ways, but together we do that from 10 to 12, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So what I've just mentioned to you really there, is 12 hours, 9 till noon, Monday to Thursday. That's 12 hours out of a 168-hour week that I'm looking to add some discipline to the team. And that makes me different or more disciplined, if you will, than many teams out there. But that's part of the glue that has held us together. Okay, we're learning from each other. I have my vision, if you will, has kind of 3 pieces to it. And one of the middle paragraph that's posted in our office is that we are a goal-focused team where each member purposefully helps each other achieve their business objectives. So it's kind of built into the culture over the years that as you come on, your colleagues are there to help you with your goals. We share our goals with each other. Everybody knows what everybody else's objectives are. We share our goals with each other, and it's part of your responsibility to help the new guy coming in, because that new guy 2 years from now will be helping the next new guy who comes in. So, some of that, I don't know whether that really answers your question, but I don't know that, I think it started off with what sacrifices that I'm making. I guess, I'm not making sacrifices, to, at least in my mind, there's no sacrifice there. Now, maybe I'm sacrificing because I'm learning new ways, or I'm trying things that work and some things that don't work. And so there's some, trial and error, or some minor fails that are happening in there. But it kind of has all fit together as we've grown.
So that's the beauty of your scenario. Just, Johnder, I'm just going to interrupt just for 2 seconds here. That's the beauty of your scenario. And you just said, trials and failures and all this stuff. For those of you that don't know, Bill didn't endeavor to start this team until he was 50 years old. Sorry, Bill, I hope you don't mind me throwing out that, but I think that that's very important for those that are on the call, because, traditionally we look at the business and we look at some people that are contemplating teams, whether working on them or developing a team, as being, that you need a certain amount of energy, and, that it's the model's kind of made for a certain demographic and so forth. And I think that, you prove that it can be done at any time. The other beauty of the conversation, what I get out of this is, you failed and you tried multiple different things over the last 25 or 30 years, or whatever that time frame has been, until you kind of found your perfect calling, or whatever you want to refer to it as. So I'll let Johnder continue, but that's what resonates with me when I listen to you talking, which is great.
Yeah, so Bill, I mean, it's great to learn that you're constantly learning, and it's a constant journey, because who we have on this call right now, and in the future, whoever's going to be watching this, are going to be comprised of, realtors that are new to the business or just starting out, realtors who have somewhat of an experience, but they still don't have things together. And then you also have realtors who are starting teams or are involved in teams, and everybody's got a different way of doing things, right? And so a couple of questions, I guess, with regards to this is, you're very systematic in terms of the way you do things, and you're doing it from a team level, from a team manager or team lead level. And some of this, yesterday we were talking about quote unquote the corporate life, and it was funny because you mentioned that you weren't really a corporate person, and in fact you were hired into these roles because of not being a corporate person.
Right.
And yet being corporate means, policies, procedures, manuals and all that sort of thing. So if you don't mind, Bill, sharing with both the new agent who's just starting out and all the way down to a team leader who's putting these teams together, what's the common thing that they've got to consider as far as putting these processes, systems together, so
Yeah.
that whether they're working alone or as part of a team, they're going to achieve the consistent results and predictable results that your team has been able to do?
Okay, so your I guess key words there are consistent and predictable. Okay, so that takes tracking. Okay, keep track of things. Okay, so I've got tracking going back 11 years. Okay, which business is numbers. So as a new agent, you got to understand you're starting a business here. Okay, so you might think of yourself as a salesperson, and hey, I'll just work with somebody as they come in, but you really have to track your numbers. And when I talk about tracking numbers, I talk about, let's just use the phone as an example. Okay, I know everybody doesn't, prospect through the phone these days, but let's just use that as an example. I mean, when the new agent joins my team, the first 100 days, they have one task, they have one objective, and that is to learn how to book an appointment. Okay, I believe that people's success when you're coming into the business is going to be directly proportional to how many times you say something like, well, why don't we get together and chat about your real estate needs and see if I can help? So who are you going to say that to? Well, let's use the phone as an example. Just how many times do you need to dial the phone for someone to answer the phone, for you to have a conversation, for you to ask them if they have any real estate needs, or if they know anybody who has any real estate needs, to lead you to asking them, would you like to meet with me to chat about your real estate needs, to actually have that appointment, to make a presentation, to show you your value proposition, for them to sign you, for you to work with them, and for them to buy and close a house. All of those points should be tracked, for the simple reason that if you're going to say, okay, I want 100% of my business to come from people I call, if I want to sell 10 houses, I know I need to have 12 appointments. To have 12 appointments, I need to have 14 presentations, or whatever you want to call them, appointments or presentations there. To have that many, I need to get 16 people to commit to coming into the office, because I know some of them are going to cancel. To get 16 people to come into the office, I have to ask the question to come into my office to meet with me of 50 people. So I mean, again, to get 50 people, you've got to take that all the way up. So there you go. There's a simple tracking. I need to dial the phones 100 times a day to get 2 appointments a week. You want to know what your numbers are, because then it makes your business predictable. It's the same if you're running a team. Okay, I could bring up, didn't bring all my tracking sheets here, but I could bring up a scoreboard that says, this year we're going to sell 220 homes. Well, we know our conversion rates because we've tracked them. So I know in order for me to sell 220 homes, my team needs to have 330 appointments. Sorry, we have to sign 330 clients, okay, buyers and sellers, okay? In order to sign 330 buyers or sellers, we need to have 600 appointments. Again, I'm just making these numbers up right now. Dave, I don't know if we have those numbers off the top of your head or not, but that tells us, through understanding our conversion rates, what we have to focus on. And now we're focusing on the number of appointments. So I would say that's important for a brand new agent coming in or somebody running a team, is to track those kinds of numbers. And then you start tracking your conversion rates. Where is your business coming from? How much of it is coming from cold calling? How much is it coming from open houses? How much of it's coming from your farm, from your COIs, from your past clients, and those kinds of things. So understanding that by tracking those things over a year or 2 or 3, it makes predicting, okay, and forecasting your business year 4, 5, and 6 possible. If you don't, well, then year 4, 5, or 6 planning doesn't look any different than year 1, 2, or 3. You're just kind of guessing.
So let's go into this planning really quickly, Bill, because I know for those that are sitting on here, they're probably thinking, where do I get this stuff? And he must have attended some course that provided him with tracking sheets and all this blueprint for how this is all supposed to happen. And after our conversation yesterday, you expressed that this was something that just developed as you went along. And
yeah, pretty much. Again, I guess I've always felt that, even when I was, well, yes, I mean, pretty much it is evolves as you go along. But I mean, there's not too many real estate trainings or real estate courses you go to that, and that's why I say these aren't secrets. This is what everybody's would probably tell you to do. I mean, you're running a business, so how many people do you have to ask to buy your product in order to sell it? But again, it does take on a life of its own. I mean, right now, the first Monday of every month, my agents, we, in a group setting, we say, okay, this was my objectives in July, and each agent will run through their objectives, whether that's the number of contacts they've made, the number of appointments they had, number of clients they've signed, number of deals they've done. Okay, I wanted to do 3 of these, and 4 of those, and 5 of these, and 6 of that. Well, what did you do? And then they declare what were their actual numbers. And then they declare in front of the team what their objectives are for next month. Okay, so that, again, it kind of keeps, everybody knows what everybody's objectives are. Everybody is, knows who's on track, who's not on track. And each individual learns a little bit more about themselves as, okay, I guess after month 3 of saying, I'm going to do 100 of these, and they do 20. I'm going to do 100 of these, and they do 22. I'm going to do 100 of these, and they do 22. They start to learn something about themselves as well. Okay, so they start learning a little bit more about how to really forecast. Okay, I wish I could do 100, but I'm really a 22 guy. I'm not a 100 guy. Okay, and so you start setting more realistic objectives. And we've just as I say, tracked all those stuff, and it's just simple spreadsheets.
So you have different facets to your business, and of course you've gone from being a 2-person operation, which was you working with Sylvie, to a 2-person and an admin, to now there's 16 of you with people playing different roles on your team.
Yeah.
And we talked about the evolution of how that all played out, that you originally had your agents coming in and they were kind of quadrant to doing X activity. Do you want to talk to us a little bit about that?
Sure. I was, for a good 8 years, I guess, 9 years, you were either a buyer agent or a listing agent. Okay. So you either, and that was, it was pretty much, how things were divided. The market forced me to make a few changes because, I've had some buyer agents with me for, 5, 6 years that are, doing their 30, 35 transactions a year, making a good living, but it's a tough world out there right now. So I get a couple of my buyer agents who have been with me for, let's say, that 5, 6 year period where they're getting repeat clients calling saying, hey, I want to sell the home I want to sell the home that you helped me buy 6 years ago and buy a new one. And that buyer agent would be turning over that listing business to the listing agent and then working with them as a buyer. Well, in this environment right now that we've been in the last couple of years, listings are selling very quickly, and it's tough on buyer agents. Sometimes you're working with a client for quite some time, putting in 3, 4, 5 offers on different properties. And it just didn't seem equitable anymore that my listing specialists were kind of being fed and my buyer specialists were, being hurt in the process or working their asses off and not seeing a lot of return. So I started allowing people who had been with me for a couple of years, to work with their past clients and their COIs as buyers or sellers. There was something else behind that as well, as I'm not a stupid businessman. I'd rather have 8 people in this environment running around looking for listings than 2. Okay, so I mean, that's the other thing, that there's a little more motivation for somebody who was typically a buyer agent to now, go that extra mile for that listing referral or that listing.
But you were willing to adapt.
Willing to adapt. And some
Right.
of that, yeah. And some of that adaptation was, is forced upon you to, you kind of look at things. As I say, one, the market itself, and I did have a listing agent leave me last year, and it made me look at things and realize that, well, wasn't that a blessing in disguise? It forced me to make some changes that have turned out really well. And that, kind of taught something about myself. I've never lost anybody on the team, either forced them out, because they weren't working out, or them leaving the team that didn't allow me to, to grow and to benefit from that.
Yeah, and Bill, for those that are in the environment in the Ottawa market, I get to see the action happening, and that's one thing about your model that's always so impressive, from the point of where you'll just even take the time to have a conversation with a new realtor or a realtor that's even contemplating or exploring whether it benefits you or not. And I think that's the mindset of just growing and giving back and whatnot. So. Interesting in your model that you have always made sure that those that are working with you are just as recognized in the process as you, the team lead. And I know that there's different models that are built on primarily the team lead being, the most recognized, whereas with you, with all your listings and whatnot, they're completely engaged. I know with your videos, for example, right now, we were talking about Murtaza, one of a very new realtor that you have working on your team, and he's already out promoting and doing videos and stuff like that. So can you talk to us about the benefits of allowing them to leverage?
Sure. Well, although I have a logo behind me called the Tulip Team, I've never been brand focused. Okay, this just evolved in the 1st of May of this year. Okay, and that evolved at the request of the team. Okay, not necessarily the Tulip Team, but the idea of being branded. Every November we get together, we plan next year, and I actually had Steve and Ken come in and do kind of a 360 interview, for 2 years or 3 years ago, and again last year, just asking the team, how are things going? How's the management style? Kind of, getting the goods on me. Is Bill delivering what, is the team giving you the value you're looking for? One of the things that came out of that was the team said, hey, we love working here. We believe in the team concept and in a lot of what Bill is leading us through, but nobody's ever heard of us. Okay, we're kind of a group of people that are all working together, but nobody's really heard of Home Team Ottawa is what we used to be called. Okay, so I decided to brand under the Tulip Team. I won't get into why, but in the past I've never been focused on the brand. My job as team manager is to help each of my agents promote themselves. Going back to what I said earlier about Zig Ziglar, if I help enough people get what they want, I will get what I want, if you will. So it's always been my focus is to how do I help Keith promote Keith to his past clients, to his COIs within his sphere, to help him grow his business. Because if his business is growing underneath my umbrella, my business is growing. So that's always, as I say, been the focus. And it's still the focus under the Tulip Team. It's just now we have something that, and this isn't even to promote, like say, publicly, if you will. This is really just to promote within our COIs and within our past clients. So just a little more memorable, if you will, than the Home Team, because there's the Morris Home Team, there's the Hooper Home Team, there's 27 home teams in Ottawa. Okay, yet there's one Tulip Team, But I've always taken the approach that my job is to help each agent promote themselves, whether it's in their own little niche marketing, or whether it's as I say, within their own group.
So I know that Johnder's going to ask a quick question, but just speaking to that, Bill, with respect to having, I know that probably some of the people that are sitting on this call are probably wondering, oh, what do they do with commissions and how do they make it work and all this other stuff. So I'm going to encourage anybody that's on this call, Dave's going to put in Bill's contact information. If you want to talk to him about the formula and how he's made it work and so forth, I know that he's created tiers of opportunities for different people that are on his team to also grow and to treat this as if it's their own business. I know we're not going to have enough time to chat about that. Sorry, Johnder.
The one thing I will add to that, then, the other thing is, if you look at a buyer agent on my team's buyer presentation, okay, we expect people to do buyer presentations and sign their buyers, or even their listing presentation. When they get to about the team, okay, they have 15 other people on their team. So it's Keith Bray and all of his support. And I'm just one of those people on the support. When I do my listing presentation, it's Bill Meyer and all my team. But, you know, again, their presentation is putting them as they are the agent, and this is my team. And so that's another way that I help them, as I say, you know, promote themselves, if you will.
Fantastic. So just because we're getting a little bit tighter on time, Bill, I just want to do a quick fast forward. I think everybody gets the concept here that you've created something very different in the team world. I think one of the really impressive things that you've done is, as a team lead, you've actually acted as a team lead, and you've actually led your team as opposed to the opposite, which is, you know, you kind of get going, you implement some systems, and then you've put it on others to kind of to you know, deal with the team itself. Whereas I think you've got others that are focused on different facets of your business, the internals, the spreadsheets, all this other stuff, and your focus has been primarily to really work with. And I know that you meet with your team once a week, or each team member. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, about 30 minutes each week. I meet everybody one-on-one, you know, and we go over, you know, kind of a very simple formula, because we are goal focused, you know. Again, everybody's got their goal for the year. It's broken down into the quarter, and then their month, and then really their week. So each week I'm saying, well, how'd last week go? Okay, what were your objectives? What did you do? Okay, if you were to do your week over again, how would you do that differently? You know, and then what's your objectives this week? Okay, great. Well, if you achieve your objectives this week plus what you did last week, are you going to be on track for your month, for instance? You know what I mean? So that's kind of the, you know, kind of how the dialogue goes on a, you know, on a weekly basis. You know, again, being goal focused, a lot of people, you know, we all know that it's important to write out our goals. You know, we all know it's important to review our goals. It's also important to share your goals with somebody else. Okay, so everybody on the team shares their goals. But more importantly, it's important to give somebody to, you know, permission to help hold you accountable to the things you know you need to do in order to achieve your goals. And that's what our weekly, you know, one-on-one meetings is all about. I've asked for their permission to hold them accountable to the activities that they have told me that they want to do in order to achieve their objectives. So that happens on a weekly basis. Yeah.
And it's a fantastic way to have I mean, it's a fantastic reason to be a part of a team. So for those of us watching this and listening in, and asking, you know, why should I join a team, or why should I give up X amount of my commission to a team? This is the reason why. Is because you may thrive in an environment. But Bill, speaking of teams, because I mean, recently and even up until now, we've been challenged by the COVID-19 global pandemic. And so it's changed a lot of ways of how we do business, and it's changed how you do business, and your team has adapted as well. Can you describe with us, you know, working as a dynamic team environment, what challenge did that place on your business, and how do you guys deal with it?
Well, COVID specifically caused me some concern, because I've told you about how kind of, let's call it, hands-on I am. Okay. Well, there was nobody in my office for a couple months to be hands-on with. You know, so as COVID was in its early stages, so probably the first 2 weeks, you know, I was confused. I didn't know what the hell to do. I'd never heard this word Zoom before, other than on a Mazda commercial. You know, so wasn't really sure what to do, and then finally decided that no, we're going to have our same structure. It's just going to be on Zoom now. So we still had our Monday meetings. We had our Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you know, kind of script training, where I hooked up an agent. You know, they paired up, and they were supposed to be calling each other, and still doing that. We had our Tuesday buyers club and our Thursday listing club. So I was able to, you know, use the technology to that. And of course, with, you know, with Dave's leadership, you know, we created all our, you know, our virtual listing presentation now, and our virtual buyer presentation, and, you know, from a marketing point of view, how we were delivering things virtually now. So, but I guess probably, and it allowed me to, an awful lot of time to think and plan, if you will, to reevaluate where we want to go and how we're going to get there. But it did cause me some concerns, when I spoke to my coach, kind of expressing some of my feelings, thinking, where's my value proposition going to come from now if I'm not with my team, every day? Fortunately, pandemic kind of loosened up a little bit, and as people started to feel a little more comfortable and drift into the office, of course, it was the young fathers who came back first, into the office to get away from the home, I guess. But it allowed me to kind of have a hybrid. So now we still do our meetings on Zoom, okay, because there's still 4 people on the team who have never been in the office since COVID started. And again, I'm allowing them to, well, 2 things. One is, it's taught me how you can be engaged with somebody virtually, okay, which is kind of interesting to learn over the last 100 days. But we'll have a team meeting with the 15 of us, and 10 of them will be in the office and 5 of them will be at home, and we'll all be on Zoom. We've just all become accustomed to that. So that's how I want to say some things have changed. And I'll be honest with you, even things like this, like I know there's only half a dozen people or so, sitting in on this call right now, but others are going to be, watching it. So from a marketing and a promotional point of view, from my own selfish or my own team or my own ego for that matter, I'm getting more exposure now, because I'm not driving to Shepherd Road from Ottawa to do a meeting like this for 47 people sitting in a room. I'm going to have 400 or 500 people watch this over the next 30 days, and they know the Tulip team in Ottawa now, and they know a little bit about me and some of my philosophy. So it's learning something every day, and I think that's the key. Is whether you're selling or whether you're leading a team, you just got to be open to what's happening out there, and make changes as needed.
You mentioned something about coaching, and I think Jennifer Alvarenga was asking who your coach is, and Sandra from the Richard Robbins program is your current coach. But yesterday, I made a comment, and you said, well, what do you mean by coach? And you referred to them. In a different quadrant as opposed to coaching. I think I'll let you repeat what.
Yeah, I guess. Well, let me give you 60 seconds on why I came up with that term, I guess, even though I just kind of spurted it out. But over the last few years, I've been looking for something different in a coach that I still really haven't found. Okay, I wanted somebody to coach me in leadership. Okay, and the best I found in the industry is John Maxwell. So I'm not part of his coaching program or anything, but I've read everything, and I watched a Maxwell video every day, and I've done a number of online courses with Maxwell. But from Mike Ferry to the Keller Williams system to Tom Ferry, not Mike Ferry. I never coached with Mike, but with Tom Ferry and Richard Robbins and the Goodfellow and another company called Icon Coaching, which was headed up by Sean Kokoska. I've been part of those, and they've helped me with some of the systems. They've helped me with some of the tracking and things like that over the years. But I don't need anybody now to help me sell another house. I need someone to help me with my leadership. And so when you asked me about that yesterday, I said it's more of a business psychologist that I have now in Sandra. It's just someone to, hey, I lost a kid that was with me he's a kid. I lost a kid that I really loved. He was with me for 4 years. Didn't really do much in university. Kind of dropped out after 6 months of being there, and joined me before he even got his real estate license. You kind of hope that someone like this he'll be with you for a dozen years, because I haven't lost a lot of people over the years. So and it hurt. It really hurt. And although I was
human.
I was encouraging him to leave because what he was looking for, I couldn't offer him anymore. So that was okay. So, but just to have someone to talk to about that, and to share some of your feelings and what you're going through. I mean, Often it's Dave that I share this stuff with. Okay, all my insecurities and as I grow, because it's not. There's no real manual. Although I keep saying this is all in books and I'm not doing anything different. There's really no manual, to follow, because it can be lonely. Okay, because it's me who makes the ultimate decision, if you will. So to have a coach just to kind of shoot some things by and to hear her perspective there is value there.
So I think some of the takeaways here, Bill, and we really appreciate this, and I'm going to ask one last question, but I think, connecting yourself with people that will listen to you and that will guide you and that will help you through the struggles, because even as a high producing realtor and someone that's got a team and has 15 people under their wing and so forth, I mean, there's a lot of stresses, right? And for those of us that run as individuals, there's a lot of stresses. So in different gamuts and different quadrants of being in this business, you're going to face different stresses, and whether they're your personal stresses or stresses to produce for the benefit of others that are now working with you, right? I mean, that's a lot of pressure to make sure that the engine is running and
sure, yeah,
and
again, COVID kind of shone some light on that as well. Like, I got 4 support staff that I pay salaries to that have families. Do you keep them? Do you get rid of them? Do you lay them off? I mean, those are questions that, you ask yourself every day for the first month or two, when this was happening. I mean, you look at revenues drop by 50% for a couple months and you think, well, how long can you go on like this? I mean, I still have, $400,000 or $500,000 a year in expenses, that have to be paid. So if we're not selling any real estate, so there are some stresses there. But again, getting back to running it as a business, knowing what's coming in, knowing what activities to do, and if you continue to do these activities, chances are, it's going to take care of itself.
So I see I'm watching Brad Kloss on the screen here, and I see him shaking his head because I think all of this is resonating with him. And I know that Brad's very disciplined with making his calls and with his quadrant of his business and what he does and what he's amazing at, which is in the investment world and understanding it and all this other stuff. So I can see that this stuff is probably resonating really well with him from a disciplinary perspective. So last question, Bill, what would your biggest piece of advice be to a realtor that's either looking to join a team or someone that's looking to potentially start a team, or somebody here that might already have a team and maybe is struggling?
Yeah. I guess, going back to a couple things I've said, in that, bring on somebody with the mindset of how can I help them? Okay, so many agents, they bring on a buyer agent and it's all about the mindset is, geez, I wonder how much this guy's going to help me make, as opposed to how can I help them make it in this industry? And I know it sounds Pollyannish and it sounds, isn't that nice, but it really is that, because it pays in the long run. And people joining teams or growing teams, sometimes it's, they're moving too quickly, okay, that because they really can't support another person. And you got to understand that, what's that, why is that person, coming to you? It's really for you to help them. They're not joining you because, hey, I think I get, here's a real busy agent and who's doing really well. I think if I join them, I can help them do better. No, that's not why they're joining you. They're joining you because they want you to help them. Okay. And if you really understood that and you really help them, they'll be with you for a while, and you're both going to benefit as you bring on that third person and that fourth person and that fifth person.
Absolutely. So thank you so much, Bill, for everything that you've shared with us today. And definitely, I hope everybody who's watching this now and who's watching this on video gleans a lot of information from what you've shared with us. So we wish you and your team, of course, continued success in everything you do. And hopefully we'll see you some more in future training sessions. And perhaps, I know Dave typed up the contact information, but maybe one more time before we conclude today, what's the best way for everyone to reach out to you if they have a referral to send from Toronto or anywhere in our regions to Ottawa, or if they just want to connect with you, or if somebody wants to join your team, what's the best way to reach?
Yeah, so I mean, you want to join
team?
my team, just give me a call. We'll get together. I mean, you know, I'm always willing to sit down and chat with anybody about their real estate career. As far as getting in touch with me, the info that Dave put up on the chat there, bill@thetulipteam.com, you know, will certainly reach me. Okay, and as anything I've said that you thought, okay, what's all this tracking stuff, or what are all these things? You know, I mean, you know, I'm willing to share, you know, all that, you know. So I'm very transparent in how I run my business, and would be happy to share it with anybody.
Well, Bill, you're a definite asset to this industry. We appreciate having you, and I mean that sincerely. We appreciate having you as part of the RE/MAX Hallmark family. You definitely make us proud. Your team makes us proud. You've got a great reputation in the Ottawa market, and thank you so much for taking the time to share with the people that are here. You know what, any nuggets that you've picked up, you know what, whether it's implementation, whether it's just about having a little bit of discipline, anybody that wants to reach out to Dave or to Bill to have a little bit of a chat, the great thing about them is they're always available, and we'll take the time to have a little chat with you and share some words of encouragement and some other stuff that they may have utilized, so you don't have to go through the same. So once again, thank you so much to all of you on behalf of Johnder and I for being here, and we'll look forward to this video being posted. And please encourage your peers and the people that aren't here today to check out our Driven podcasts, our Driven live videos, as we have some great content and some amazing people that have taken their time to share with you and to help you guys you know, build your businesses and have a better quality of business and better quality of life. So have a great week, everybody, and thank you for being here.
Thank you so much,
Thanks, Bill. Thank you, Dave.
Okay, take care.
Johnder, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Dave.
Cheers. Bye-bye now.